Hello, today we have Caleb with COVID, lungs, and kidneys.
Abigail with Whalers Gone Wild.
Isabella with paper masks toll on the environment.
Dylan with Tesla.
Keegan with war in Ukraine.
Sebastian with concussions and how to prevent them.
And Sophia with PFAS and Londonderry's water.
Over to Caleb with COVID, lungs, and kidneys.
Did you know that over 280,000 people died of COVID-19 attacking the lungs? Also, did you know that over 113,000 people died from COVID-19 attacking the kidneys? Today I'm going to tell you what COVID does to the body in those two organs. First, I must tell you that COVID is not its own virus. It is a type of virus that mutated from a virus called SARS. When the virus attacks the lungs first, it usually ends there too. If it does that, it could cause damage to your lungs. According to National Geographic, there are 3 different types of severity it has. 1, viral replication is where it makes more viruses. 2, immune hyperreactivity, that is where it makes your immune system be super reactive. 3, pulmonary destruction is where your immune system destroys everything that it sees in your lungs. Although not all patients go through these phases, according to National Geographic, 82% of patients had mild symptoms, 9% had severe symptoms, and the rest had none. You could also have flu-like symptoms and pneumonia possibly if it attacks your lungs. Now that we have covered the lungs, I would tell you about it on the kidneys. When COVID attacks your kidneys, it is common that your kidneys will become inflamed. In bad cases, 6% of patients suffered acute kidney damage. COVID could attack your kidneys differently if you take different medicines. According to WebMD, your kidneys could fail if the virus attacks them, and you may urinate blood too. Finally, I am not a doctor. Please go to one if you have any symptoms.
Wow! I never knew that one symptom of COVID-19 is that the immune system will attack everything in your lungs.
I know, isn't that fascinating?
Next up, we have Abby with Whalers Gone Wild.
Did you know that whales are an important part of our ecosystem? With these mammals dying, it affects not only sea animals, but all humans too. Whale hunters have killed off 98% of whales. They kill them for oil, their blubber, food for tourists, soap, and much, much more. Humans also love to watch whales in pools at places like a zoo. People were hunting whales mostly in the 20th century, but did you know that whaling has been a tradition since around the 1500s? Scientists wanted to learn more about baleen whales' eating habits. They needed to know how often whales ate, how big their gulps are, and how much food they consume. So, author Matthew Savoca of Stanford Hopkins Marine Station formed a team and put cameras on 321 whales. They got 105 photos, which helped them determine how much krill baleen whales gobble down. They found that baleen whales eat 3 times as much fish as scientists thought. They eat around 16 tons in just one day. Blue whales can eat up to 40 million fish in a day. Researchers thought that since there would be less whales, krill numbers would shoot up. Well, they were wrong. Krill numbers actually dropped by about 80%. This is because there are less whales, Matthew Savoca said. You see, whales play a bigger role in the ecosystem than most humans thought. For instance, baleen whales eat so much krill every day, so you know what that means, a lot of whale dung. These droppings contain a lot of iron and nutrients, so these little plants called phytoplankton live off it. Then, little fish eat that phytoplankton, and the krill eat those little fish. So when baleen whales aren't there, neither is their dung. Less whales don't only affect ocean life, it also affects us humans. For example, sperm whale droppings pull carbon from the atmosphere, making the air more clean for the environment. No dung also starts global warming. Before, whales were all over the world. Whales ate millions of krill every year. Now, only half of that many remains. Although whaling was banned in many places, some countries still allow it. Iceland, Greenland, Norway, and Japan are a few countries that say whaling is legal. Whaling was highest in 2001 when Greenland killed over 180 whales. Although in many oceans the whales are coming back, but krill numbers are still behind. The World Wide Fund says humans are a main reason for whales dying, so if you want to stop whaling and global warming, here are a few things you can do. You can adopt a whale through WWF and help the whale, or you can donate money to their organization. Now that you have listened to what is happening to whales, I hope you consider donating to help these poor marine animals.
I can't believe that whalers have killed 98% of whales.
I never knew that either.
Over to Isabella with the paper mask toll on the environment.
Did you know that 7,200 tons of disposable masks are found on the ground polluting the earth every day? When the masks have been on the ground for a certain amount of time, they can turn into a form of plastic. If an animal consumes this plastic, it can clog their digestive system and could potentially kill them. You can find mask litter anywhere, on sidewalks or in the street. Though face masks were created to protect you from viruses, they still pollute the earth. Since the beginning of the COVID-19 pandemic, the litter totals have skyrocketed at a tremendous increase of 9,000% over just 3 years. At the beginning of the pandemic, the litter totals went down surprisingly low. This is because of social distancing and not having to wear masks if we were 6 feet away from others. With Omicron and other variants, stores in public areas might reintroduce their COVID guidelines, which means more disposable masks and more litter in the environment. There are not many people cleaning up this trash, which means that it could end up in the ocean and hurt more sea life. Most of the people getting COVID-19 are the people picking up masks or glove waste, stated Forbes.com. Hundreds of tons of COVID waste is piling up on the side of roads every week, and people who have to pick it up are constantly testing positive. For this reason, people should stop littering masks, even if it's accidental. If you think you dropped something, look behind you. And if you did, pick it up and throw it out. It's important to keep our environment clean.
I never knew that 7,200 tons of masks are found on the ground.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Now we have Dylan with Elon Musk and Tesla.
Since Tesla's inception in 2003, Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla, and the company's main goal is to accelerate the change to sustainable energy for cars. Tesla's first car was the Roadster sports car, which was made in 2008, then followed by the Model S sedan in 2012. In 2015, Tesla made the Model X SUV, which people reported was the best overall car. It had been nicknamed the Ultimate Car of the Year by Motor Trend. The Model X was the first SUV with 5 stars in every safety category and subcategory and the National Highway Traffic Safety Tests. The 2017 Model 3 electric vehicle had more than 320 miles of range. The Tesla Semi saves owners up to $200,000 and over 1 million miles on fuel costs. The Tesla Cybertruck was unveiled in 2019, and it has more utility than a common truck and with the performance of a sports car, same as the Model Y compact SUV that started custom orders in 2020. One thing about these cars is that they are expensive. The average price of a Model 3 is around $40,000. The average price of a Model Y is around $50,000 to $60,000. The Model S is about $90,000, and the Model X is about $100,000. Most people can't afford these cars. One good thing is that Tesla is an electric car company. Global warming is affecting our planet, and we need to slow down or stop it. Tesla can help. Tesla is more environment friendly than any normal cars. Most cars run on gas, but Tesla runs on electricity. Instead of gas pumps, Tesla cars need electric chargers. The level 1 chargers give about 110 volts. The level 2 gives 208 to 240 volts. And the DC fast chargers give 200 to 600 volts. Downside is that there are not as much chargers as there are gas pumps, which is a bad thing when you are traveling somewhere that is very far. Luckily, these electric cars can go many miles, just as much as a gas-powered car can. In March 2014, Norway is the first country where 1 in every 100 passenger cars were electric. This could help put an end to global warming. There are so many upsides to Tesla and electric cars, this is why I think you should get a Tesla.
Wow, it's $100,000 for just one car? That's expensive.
Next, we have Keegan with the Russian and Ukrainian war.
According to the New York Times, Russia's President Vladimir V. Putin sent about 100,000 soldiers to the Ukrainian-Russian border. The Russian government had demands for the Western world. These demands are unlikely to be met. Ukraine was wanting to join NATO, but Russia warned them not to. Putin said that his soldiers were near the Ukrainian border for war games, and that some Russian soldiers would be pulling out of the Russian-Ukrainian border. The United States determined that Putin never sent any soldiers home. On February 17, 2022, at 8:45 a.m., Russia shelled a kindergarten, and later, on March 9th, they bombed a children's hospital. Putin is an evil mass murderer who is killing thousands of Ukrainians. More and more soldiers are being sent to the Ukrainian-Russian border, to Ukraine, in one of the biggest conflicts in Europe since the 1940s. The U.S. gave Poland a NATO country, 250 new tanks because they border Ukraine. According to the Washington Post, Russia had a list of people in Ukraine to be killed or to be sent to camps. The U.S. sent a letter to the United Nations about Russia planning on abusing human rights and committing war crimes in Ukraine. The UN voted to condemn Russia for its attacks on civilians. Ukrainian citizens in eastern Ukraine were also shelled by Russian separatists who are a pro-Russian militia. Everyone in town and cities are scared. Women and children are trying to leave or are hiding in underground subways. I hope this does not lead to nuclear warfare. That's all for my article. Back to you two.
I can't believe that Putin bombed a children's hospital and a kindergarten.
Neither can I. It's horrible.
Over to Sebastian with concussions.
Did you know each year approximately 1.4 million people are hospitalized with traumatic brain injury? Concussions are dangerous and can be deadly if not properly treated. Young people get concussions all the time, and that is usually from sports, although things like cars, motorcycles, and even falling downstairs can cause concussions. Concussions are very dangerous and can be deadly. They usually occur through major head hits like football, and head-to-head slams can cause concussions. According to a German college Mayo Clinic, concussions can stretch and bruise nerves and blood vessels and cause chemical changes in your brain, which can mess up important functions like vision. Concussions can make it hard to concentrate and even create memory loss. There are many ways you can get them. One is that you can be in a situation like a motorcycle or a car crash. When the airbag on a car expands and hits your head, it can create concussions. In motorcycle crashes, you are bound to get a major concussion because there are no restraints. In the article, Concussions in Athletes from Michigan Medicine, it says 3.8 million concussions occur each year in the U.S. from sport-related injuries. You can get head-to-head hits and major falls. Although there is no way to completely prevent concussions, you can make them less likely. Always wear safety equipment in sports that need it. Some equipment may include helmets, padding, shin guards, and mouth guards. Avoid head-to-head contact and falling on your head. Make sure all your safety equipment is properly fitted and is in good condition. Especially to prevent concussions, wear a helmet. Helmets are designed to decrease the likelihood of head injuries from an impact to the head by minimizing and distributing the energy of the impact and protecting the head from penetration. On motorcycles, always wear a helmet. And in both motorcycles and cars, remember to drive safely. Concussions are dangerous. Though they cannot be 100% preventable, you can help stop them. Be careful when playing sports and make sure to always wear protective gear like helmets when driving. Make sure to drive safely. If you do all these things, there will be a minimal chance of concussions.
Wow! 1.4 million people have to go to the hospital every year from concussions.
That's a lot of people. Lastly, we have Sophia with PFAS in Londonderry's water.
Do you have well water and live in Londonderry? If so, be careful. Something has been put in residents' well water that could hurt you and your environment. In March of 2016, perfluorotic acid, or PFAS, were discovered in residents' drinking water. Massachusetts had bought water from us. They found PFAS in it. They found out that it had come from a facility called Saint-Gobain Performance Plastics in Merrimack. Ever since then, contaminated water has become a huge problem in the community of Londonderry. According to the union leader, several houses have been forced to drink bottled water until a filtration system has been made. Unfortunately, COVID slowed down their efforts. Almost all of Londonderry has been stuck drinking contaminated water for almost 6 years. So why hasn't Saint-Gobain Performance Plastics stopped putting the chemicals into our water? Well, according to NHPR, they are trying to do something about it. They have given bottled water to those they have impacted and have also put in new water lines. But after 5 years, why hasn't it stopped? This answer is unclear. Nobody quite knows why this problem hasn't been resolved. Some people think the PFAS in New Hampshire's water is related to health problems like kidney cancer. Others disagree. Londonderry does have a slightly higher risk of cancer, but is it because of contaminated water, or is it because of something else? Nobody quite knows. This is a question many investigators are still looking to answer. There are many ways this problem can be resolved. Because PFAS are in well water, we could put in water lines so that they have public water instead. If PFAS weren't put in our water, it wouldn't be a problem. Here in Londonderry, there is a task force that is trying to fix this once and for all. If you live in Londonderry, watch out. These chemicals can be harmful to your body, and they may also increase the risk of cancer. Stay safe.
I never knew that people were doing that to our water.
I know, and it's been happening for almost 6 years.
That's it for today. Thank you so much for listening to SSN.
Hello, I'm Ayan.
And I'm Caitlin.
Today we'll be listening to Allie with Agatha, House of Harkness,
Brady with news on the Russian and Ukraine war,
Stella informing us on endangered whales,
Silas with details on the new show Moon Knight,
Jack telling us how pollution is hurting the world.
Ian letting us know about the trash river in Indonesia.
Finally, we have Caitlin telling us how dogs are trained to detect COVID-19. Now over to Allie with the new TV show, Agatha, House of Harkness.
Are you a Marvel fan? If you are, a new show was announced on November 12th and is coming in 2023, called Agatha, House of Harkness. If you liked WandaVision, you will definitely like this show. It is about Agatha Harkness, otherwise known as Agnes, the nosy neighbor. Production starts October 2022 at Trith Studios in Atlanta, Georgia. Like other Marvel TV shows, it will probably have 6 to 9 episodes. Since Agatha is a witch, there is no doubt it will be about the Salem witch trials in the 1600s. The show could explore her past in Salem during the witch trials or her future trapped in Westview. It can always be both, though. On the topic of plot, I can tell you that it will be a dark comedy about Agatha's life. If you noticed in the last episode of WandaVision, Agatha says that Wanda will need her someday. Maybe Agatha knows something about Wanda that we don't. Catherine Hahn is still playing Agatha, but we are unsure if Elizabeth Olsen will come back to play Wanda Maximoff, though it's very likely. According to Bustle, there are rumors that Olsen will appear, but they are yet to be confirmed. There are a few other WandaVision characters that might show. The mailman, Ralph, and Dottie, a few of the people Agatha liked most. Catherine Hahn said, Agatha loves having companionship. She loves the mailman, loves Dottie, loves Ralph. We were talking about people in WandaVision. Jack Shaffer will executive produce the show and will be writing again. In WandaVision, Agatha had a bunny, Senior Scratchy. In the comics, she had a cat named Ebony. Either could be in the show. Senior Scratchy will most likely be in it because he was in WandaVision. The show sounds very entertaining and educational. You might wonder how it would be educational. It's educational because it talks about a real event in history, the Salem witch trials. Watching the show will educate people on how horrible the trials were. Thanks for listening to me, and I hope you tune in to watch the show when it comes out.
Sounds like a good show. I'll be sure to watch it.
I'll be sure to watch it too.
Now over to Brady with Russia and Ukraine.
Have you heard about the Russian-Ukrainian war? Well, if you have, I will tell you more about it. On February 17, 2022, Zelensky, the Ukraine president, accused Russia of shelling a kindergarten. In the process, 3 were injured. This war started because Zelensky wanted to join NATO, but Russian President Putin did not want him to. Then they got into a heated argument and Russia invaded. Russia has 1 million troops on duty, 2 million reserved, over 12,000 tanks, and over 5,000 nuclear weapons, while Ukraine only has 250,000 troops on duty, 215,000 reserved, 6,500 tanks, and 3,000 nuclear weapons. President Joe Biden has told Vladimir Putin that if Russia invades Ukraine, they will have enormous consequences. Joe Biden has also told Ukraine that we would be a backup. No country right now wants to buy any solid fuels, wheat, iron, and steel from Russia because of what they did. Russia isn't earning as much money as they used to now. President Putin and Zelensky are actually very different in how they are handling the war. While Putin is sitting in a room, Zelensky is fighting. This just shows how good of a president and how brave Zelensky is. 2 million women and children have fled Ukraine to Poland. The men are staying in Ukraine to fight the Russians and protect their country. Hopefully this war doesn't start World War III.
I hope everyone stays safe.
Yeah, I agree. Now over to Stella talking about whales.
Did you know that more than 1,500 whales alone are killed each year by us? Yes, humans. People have been killing all species of whales since the 1900s. During a span of 10 years, in the early 1900s, more than 280,000 whales were killed. Later, that number nearly doubled. People have been killing whales for oil, soap, candles, cosmetics, meat, fishing hooks, and more. They are also threatened by environmental change, habitat loss, and vessel strikes. Entanglement in fishing gear, plastic in the ocean, and toxins like pollution are also harmful to marine life. Also, did you know that NASA in the 1960s used whale oil to power the Hubble Space Telescope? Today, there are only about 10,000 to 25,000 whales left in the whole world. I know that might seem like a large number, but the number is decreasing every single day. Now I know what you're thinking. Why should we stop hunting whales? They're not important and they also hurt us. But you're wrong. Whales are one of the most important animals alive. They're one of the first animals to be on this planet, and according to the World Wildlife Fund, whales are at the top of the food chain and have the most important role in the overall health of the marine environment. They're also the animal that keeps us and all animals on Earth alive by providing at least half the oxygen we breathe to the production of phytoplankton. Marine biologists have also discovered that whales capture and store carbon. So if a whale dies and sinks to the bottom of the ocean, carbon will also sink. Whales also have the biggest heart in the world, weighing up to 400 pounds. Whales also are the most peaceful animal alive. There have been no whale attacks on humans for over 100 years. Now I bet you want to know how to stop and help endangered whales. Well, the only thing you have to do, according to NOAA Fisheries, is to observe all whales from a safe distance of at least 100 yards by sea or land. You have to also report marine life in distress and reduce speed on being on the lookout. You can also help with cleaning the ocean so no plastic and garbage gets to the whales. Or you could donate to Sea Shepherd Conservation Society, Oceana, Ocean Alliance, or the websites that work for you. I hope you learned a lot and go help those whales stay safe and alive.
I hope whales don't go extinct.
I can't believe that many whales die each year.
Let's hear Silas talk about the new show Moon Knight.
Are you a fan of Marvel Studios? Well, if you are, get ready because on March 30th, 2022, they are releasing their brand new establishment, Moon Knight. Moon Knight will be an action-adventure series coming soon to Disney+. As said by @Marvel Entertainment, Mark Spector will be played by actor Oscar Isaac. Some more stars of the show will be Gaspar Diolio, Ethan Hawke, Meg Calamari, Lucy Sakurai, and finally Loic Mabanza. So far, we know from various sources throughout the internet, like Marvel Entertainment again, that there will be one season showing 6 episodes. So far, not much is known about the plot for this show, except we do know that Mark Spector will be going through multiple identities, not knowing which one he truly is. There will be new episodes weekly on Wednesdays, March through April. I myself am very excited for this show as I am a Marvel fan. A lot of fans are also excited for this show as Moon Knight, as he is a loved character from the comics. And we don't have to wait much longer now. So if you are a Marvel fan, get ready for this action-packed show on March 30th, 2022. Now a little bit about Mark Spector. His parents were Jewish and one of them was a Holocaust survivor. He did not want to follow in his father's footsteps, so he took on a career in boxing. I wonder if they will fully include all of this in the show. Spector's powers include superhuman abilities such as enhanced strength over the night of full moons. One of his darker powers is that he can drain people's life energies through physical contact. Spector's main weakness is mental depression and awareness. He also has an identity disorder with 2 different identities such as millionaire Stephen Grant and cab driver Jake Lockley. So are you excited for this new Marvel project? Because I certainly am.
I've never heard of the character Moon Knight.
That sounds like a great show.
Now over to Jack with pollution.
Did humans just sign their own death warrant? Global warming causes a deadly gas called carbon dioxide to rise into the atmosphere, which heats the global temperature gradually as the air gets more polluted, ultimately leading to our deaths. Global warming has already killed many animals. According to wefarm.org, global warming heated up Antarctica to a high of 18 degrees Celsius and 64 degrees Fahrenheit. That is over 30 times more than the average winter temperature in Antarctica. Ice in all polar regions are melting as we speak, and that's all caused by global warming. If we take action now, there's a possibility that we can save the planet. However, there's a problem. It might already be too late. Humans have ravaged the atmosphere to the point of no return. According to USGS.gov, 5.1 billion metric tons of carbon waste produced by cars and factories have been sent flying into the atmosphere. Global warming also raises the sea level. It may flood the earth if we don't stop. There are solutions to global warming, such as solar power, wind power, hydropower, and others. However, they all have problems of their own. Windmills use the wind to get energy, and they require concrete, which does require energy, which is also harmful to the environment. There are a few other problems. It may pose a threat to wildlife, may cause noise pollution or visual pollution. Hydroelectric power may also cause issues. According to manufacturing.net, hydroelectric power may damage wildlife habitat, harm water quality, block fish migration, and prevent recreational benefits of rivers. Solar panels use sunlight to collect energy. However, they have a little bit of concrete inside of them, which needs energy to be created. Solar panels also result in habitat loss and alteration in land use. Between solar power, wind power, and hydroelectric power, solar power would be our best bet. Solar panels are low maintenance, they do not need as much concrete, and it takes up little to no space. Now, global warming is just one of the terrible ways we pollute the earth. There is ocean pollution, land pollution, trash pollution, which is also known as littering, visual pollution, light pollution, noise pollution, plastic pollution, thermal pollution, soil contamination, radioactive contamination, and much, much more. Humans have caused significant damage to the environment, and if we do not stop now, it might just be too late. Let's work together to stop the abuse of the environment that we take for granted.
Solar panels sound like a great idea.
Wow, I never knew we were polluting the air so much. Now over to Ian with some information about the trash river in Indonesia.
Imagine walking out of your house in Jakarta, Indonesia, and smelling a terrible odor, because your house is close to the once beautiful Ciliwung River, which is now filled with trash. The local people in the landfills cannot control the trash problem, because they throw away 500 kilograms of rubbish every day in the same 2 kilometers in the river. Sadly, this isn't the worst thing. In Indonesia, 40 million pounds of trash is thrown out in just a year. The trash problem started in the 1970s, when people began using just a single plastic bag and then throwing them in the trash. Now, almost 50 years later, there are so many plastic bags that 250 landfills are running out of room and overflowing. Many people who live in Jakarta do not use landfills. They turn the Ciliwung River into a landfill because the people do not want to drive or walk to the landfill. According to CNN, plastic pollution is a serious issue in Indonesia. Thankfully, some people and organizations like Oceana, a group of volunteers, are fixing this problem. They are picking up trash, but they cannot control the issue. Another organization's Team Seas says every dollar donated is a pound of trash picked up from beaches and oceans. It is run by a YouTuber philanthropist, Mr. Beast, also known as Jimmy Donaldson. The problem is too big. The only way to fix the trash problem, not just in Jakarta but for the whole world, is if we all work together to stop the trash problems by picking up and using so much litter.
Wow, really? I didn't know that much trash could be in one river.
Now, Caitlin with dogs trained to sniff out COVID.
If you don't live in Massachusetts or Miami, Florida, you most likely don't know about this. 5 schools in Massachusetts have dogs being trained to detect the COVID-19 virus. With 300 million scent receptors, it makes sense why they'd be able to detect COVID. According to Florida International University News, dogs are among the best smell detectors. Hunter and Duke are two Labrador retrievers that help sniff out COVID in Southwestern City School District in Massachusetts. They are trained at FIU. These dogs are being trained by smelling urine samples. These samples are in cups that are placed on a spinning wheel. Only one of the cubs has a positive case of COVID, but the rest either have negative or a different disease. The trainers spin the wheel at random, and the dogs get it correct 82 to 95% of the time. When the dogs get it right, they go back to their trainers and get a treat. In the school, Hunter and Duke sniff people and surfaces. They sit down in the area where they smell COVID so it can be cleaned. Sometimes the dogs have to smell face masks to spot COVID. They can just walk right around the teachers, backpacks, and students, says Paul Douglas, a trainer that works with Hunter and Duke. In the future, there might be sweat tests for the dogs to sniff instead of urine samples. The dogs that are being trained to detect the sweat samples might be more accurate than dogs with just the urine. Back to you, Ion.
I wonder why they chose Labrador Retrievers. That's all for today. Thank you for watching NKA News.
Greetings, I'm Mira.
And I'm Jackie. Now let's dig into some of the latest news. First, we have Corey talking about performance-enhancing drugs in baseball.
Continuing with the subject of sports, we have Braden talking about the 2023 NHL Draft.
Then we have Jonathan with the Cog Railway up Mount Washington.
Followed by Jacob talking about deforestation in the rainforest.
Then we have Zoe with the Great Garbage Patch.
After Zoe, we have Jackie on how climate change affects our planet.
And finally, we have Mira with the story of a female tennis player, Danielle Collins.
Now to Corey.
Barry Bonds has most home runs in Major League Baseball or MLB history, and he is not in the MLB Hall of Fame. Roger Clemens, who is a 7-time Cy Young Award winner, is not in the MLB Hall of Fame. The reason why these Major League Baseball greats are not in the Hall of Fame is because they took performance-enhancing drugs, PEDs, such as steroids. These drugs make the players stronger to throw harder and to hit farther. According to Bleacher Report, if you have a positive test for using drugs to improve your game, then you will receive a 50-game suspension without pay. If you get a second one, it will be 100 games without pay. If you still haven't learned your lesson and you get another positive test, you will be banned from the MLB forever. According to ESPN, Bonds tested positive in November 2000. Although Bonds, Clemens, and many others did not get into the Hall of Fame because they took PEDs, David Ortiz will get inducted into the Hall of Fame on July 24th, 2022. The reason this is important is because Ortiz tested positive for PEDs in 2003, but for the rest of his career, he was clean and did not use PEDs. So you may be wondering why they use these drugs to cheat. Well, it all comes down to their obsession with money, fame, and championships. If you are a superstar at the game, then you will win championships, become famous, and get rich. But cheating is not the way to accomplish this. We will see what happens with players that took PEDs in next year's Hall of Fame ballot. Back to you.
Wow, I didn't know that the professionals would use drugs like that.
Corey definitely makes a good point. You shouldn't cheat to become rich and famous. You have to work hard.
Now get ready for Braden.
The NHL Draft. You probably know what hockey is, but wondered how do you become a famous National Hockey League or NHL player like Patrice Bergeron, Taylor Hall, or Brad Marchand. It's called the NHL Draft. The NHL Draft is when at the end of the season, new college players are picked to join the NHL, and some players who are already in the NHL are traded. Two of the players are Rasmus Ristolainen, who will be traded to the Philadelphia Flyers for Robert Hagg, who will be going to the Buffalo Sabres. The player most likely to be drafted is Connor Bedard or Matvei Michkov. During the draft, many players are picked, so they will probably both get into the NHL. Though Bedard and Michkov can both get in, they are fighting for the number 1 spot. Connor Bedard plays for the Canadian team, Regina Pats. Matvei Michkov plays for the Russian team, SKA St. Petersburg. With Matvei Michkov being a Russian, will the Russian and Ukraine war impact Michkov's chances in being in the NHL? For the moment, the top Russian prospects, including Matvei Michkov, Danielle, Yurov, and many others, could see their positioning plummet as Russia's invasion of Ukraine and subsequent consequences continue to build, said the Hockey News. Connor Bedard has played 42 games. He has 33 goals and 31 assists. This season, he has 64 points and has a -1 rating. For those of you who are not aware about the plus-minus rating, it is a rating based on if you are on the ice for an opposing team's goal or your team's goal. You get a plus when your team scores a goal and a minus when their team scores a goal. Connor Bedard has also spent 20 minutes in the penalty box. Matvey Michkov has played 13 games and has 2 goals and 3 assists. This season, he has 5 points and is a +2. He has spent 0 minutes in the penalty box. Even though Connor Bedard has played more games than Matvey Michkov, if they have played the same amount of games, I still think Connor Bedard is a better overall first pick. That'll do it for your latest NHL draft. Back to you.
That's so intense. I'm really wondering if the war between Russia and Ukraine will impact the 2023 NHL draft.
Oh, Mira, that's a good thought. It gives me something to think about.
Switching gears to Jonathan.
Do you want to go up over 6,000 feet in the air? Well, the Cog Railway can take you there, up to Mount Washington, the Northeastern's highest mountain. According to the Cog.com, tickets for the Cog Railway for adults cost $59.50, and tickets for people under 13 are $40.50. Even though it costs a lot, the train ride is 3 hours long. It's worth the money. After a routine safety stop at the summit switch followed by the all-clear signal from your brakeman, your train slowly comes up over the final slope and then levels out at the platform. Once you stop moving, you're officially on the highest point of the northeastern United States. The weather on the summit is very different from the base station, so you should bring a jacket. The train lays over at the summit for an hour. That's plenty of time to explore the Sherman Adams Visitor Center and its rooftop observation deck. There is also a cafeteria and 2 gift shops. You can also send a postcard from the summit's post office. Across from the visitor center is a tip-top house. It was built in 1853. It's the same building that sheltered Sylvester Marsh, the creator of the Cog Railway, during the life-threatening storm in 1857. That's what made him think of making the Cog Railway. The tip-top house is a museum. It is thought to be the oldest existing mountaintop house in the world. Here's a fun fact. Mount Washington has the world's worst weather. Wind also averages 25 miles per hour. One time the wind went up to 231 miles per hour. The Cog Railway is available to all people, even if you have disabilities. For example, those with hearing disabilities are offered a printed script and other printed documents. Mount Washington is huge. In fact, the biggest mountain in Northeast America. It would be a great summer trip for your family. Back to you.
Wow, 6,000 feet? That's a lot.
I totally agree. And the visitor center sounds super cool.
It's Jacob time.
Deforestation of the Amazon rainforest increases 22% every year. The Amazon is being destroyed in many ways, including plowing down the area, burning, and just cutting trees down. Brazil's president, Jair Bolsonaro, is an unexpected cheerleader for the exploitation of the Amazon. Since his inauguration, deforestation has soared by 92%. The Amazon is 10 million years old and home to 390 billion trees. According to Time, cattle farming accounts for 80% of destroyed land in the Amazon. Many people make a living off cattle farming and deforestation. Tens of billion trees are already gone, and according to BBC, trees play a crucial role in putting the water back in the atmosphere. Without them, there would be higher rainfall and hotter temperatures on the planet. Also, trees in the Amazon provide a lot of oxygen. That's why they're called the lungs of the earth. Trees in the Amazon aren't just kept for their oxygen, they're also home to about 427 species of mammals like jaguars, harpy eagles, and pink river dolphins. Without trees, all those animals would be homeless and possibly extinct. The Amazon rainforest is an important part of the ecosystem and needs to be taken care of for the good of the planet.
Jacob is right. The rainforest needs to be protected for the better good of our planet.
Yes, I agree. It's a terrible thing that the rainforest is getting cut down.
Zoe's up.
Imagine an island, but it's made out of only trash. The Great Garbage Patch is the biggest trash island and is located in the Pacific Ocean. A lot of people agree that we need to clean up our oceans, but I don't know how we're going to be able to clean up the Great Garbage Patch. It is a whopping 1.6 million kilometers, which is 620,000 square miles. In fact, it is twice the size of Texas. According to Maritime Herald, oceanic plastic can persist in the surface waters of the sea. 99.9% of the ocean is plastic. Not only that, but also around 100,000 marine animals die from the Great Garbage Patch each year. The Great Garbage Patch was created by the North Pacific Gyre. The North Pacific Gyre is circulating in the Pacific Ocean. This is caused by the Coriolis effect. The Coriolis effect is basically a rotating formula of deflection taken by objects as they travel far distances around the Earth. The Great Garbage Patch was founded by Charles Moore in 1997, an English journalist sailing on his yacht to California. All trash islands share one thing in common: microplastics. Microplastics are very small plastic pieces that are less than 5 millimeters long. We need to clean up our trash islands, but we have plenty of problems doing this because of the size of the plastic, the fact that some clusters of trash are on the ocean's floor, they're constantly moving, and we'd be interrupting sea life. If everyone could start recycling more, we would not have to stress about about ocean trash as much and our planet's stability. According to National Geographic, the Great Garbage Patch is a Pacific trash vortex. People are trying to clean up the patch, like a 27-year-old boy named Boyan Slat, a Dutch inventor. Boyan Slat's project is a giant U-shaped setup that extends 10 feet into the ocean. The 4 steps he is using are catch, rinse, recycle, repeat. All trash accumulates to the center of the U, and with a boat they collect the trash. By doing this, he has collected the first plastic and brought it back to shore. That concludes my article. Back to you, Jackie and Mira.
I can't believe that an island of garbage is 2 times bigger than the size of Texas.
I know, right? People need to act fast. Let's go to Jackie.
Did you know that New Hampshire has warmed 3.5 degrees in the last century? According to the Environmental Protection Agency, climate change is happening because the Earth is warming. People have increased the amount of carbon dioxide in the air by 40% since the late 1700s. Other heat-trapping greenhouse gases are also increasing. These gases have warmed the surface and the lower atmosphere of our planet about 1 degree during the last 50 years. Evaporation increases as the atmosphere warms, which increases humidity, average rainfall, and the frequency of heavy rainfall in many places, but contributes to drought. Greenhouse gases are also changing the world's oceans and ice cover. Carbon dioxide reacts with water to make carbon acid, so the oceans are becoming more acidic. The surface of the ocean has warmed about 1 degree during the last 80 years. Warming is causing snow to melt earlier in the spring, and mountain glaciers are retreating. Even the great ice sheets of Greenland and Antarctica are shrinking. That's why the ocean's water level is rising at an increasing rate. Rising temperatures and shifting rainfall patterns are likely to increase the chance of both floods and droughts. According to the National Weather Service, the average annual precipitation in the Northeast increased 10% from 1901 to 2019, and precipitation from very heavy storms has increased 70% since 1958. In the duration of the next century, average annual precipitation and the frequency of heavy downpours are likely to rise even more. Average precipitation is likely to increase during the winter and spring, but not seriously during the summer and fall. Rising temperatures are going to melt snow in the earlier days of spring and increase evaporation, and thereby dry the soil during the summer and fall. Warmer winters may bring more rain and less snow. Less snow will harm outdoor winter activities like skiing, snowboarding, and snowmobiling. It could also affect local economies that depend on snow, like New Hampshire. Climate change may pose challenges for agriculture. Some farms may be harmed if more hot days and droughts reduce crop yield, or if more flooding and wetter springs delay their planting days. Other farms may benefit from a longer growing season and the fertilizing effect of carbon dioxide. Now let's get to saving our Earth. Back to Mira.
I really don't want all the snow to melt. For me, that's what winter's all about.
Thanks, Mira. Now lastly, on to Mira.
Imagine you are a world-class professional athlete that has been diagnosed with a potentially career-ending disease in the peak of your professional years. That is what happened to the currently #1 American female tennis player, Danielle Collins. Danielle was the 2022 finalist in the prestigious Australian Open tournament. Danielle was born to Walter and Kathy Collins on December 13, 1993 in St. Petersburg, Florida. Danielle tried tennis at the age of 3 and immediately fell in love with the sport. Although her family was of modest means, it didn't stop Danielle from pursuing her dream of becoming a professional tennis player. In spite of not having the resources like others, Danielle went on to realize her dream through sheer determination and hard work. Danielle did well in the junior circuit. The path to professional tennis is through futures events and qualifiers before a player can participate in pro tournaments. It was the USTA, United States Tennis Association, futures event against Olivia Janowicz, where Danielle had a breakout moment. She was down by a lot and fighting to stage a comeback, when during a 20-shot rally that seemed to last forever, Danielle ripped a forehand winner down the court. She won the point and from there went on to win the match. Janowicz said, "She had no fear, and remember thinking to myself, wow, this girl has something special. From there on, Danielle became known for her fighting spirit. Although a lot of tennis players in Danielle's situation chose to go professional, she chose the college route. Danielle secured a full scholarship to go to the University of Virginia, UVA, during her college career. Danielle won 2 NCAA singles titles and was considered a top-tier player. Danielle graduated from the UVA in 2016 with a bachelor's degree in media studies and business. Although Danielle had a later start in professional tennis than her peers, she went right to work and steadily rose in the international rankings. Professional tennis has a tiered structure of tournaments with Grand Slam events at the pinnacle. The Slam events are Australian Open, French Open, Wimbledon, and US Open. Danielle was striving to play in the Slam tournaments when disaster struck. She was diagnosed with a disease called endometriosis. While this disease affects 1 in 10 women, it develops into a serious condition in only a small percentage. Unfortunately, Danielle was one of them. Danielle went through surgery in April 2021 and was just back in action 7 weeks later. She played in the French Open and later represented the USA in the Olympics. Danielle was pumped up and ready for the Australian Open. Although she was a lower-seeded player, she worked her way all the way up to the finals. The final was against Australian tennis star Ash Barty. Ash Barty was ranked #1 tennis player in the world. Collins put up a great fight. She countered Barty's hard shots and strong serves, but sadly, it was not enough. Ash Barty went on to win her 3rd Grand Slam and her 1st Australian Open. Tennis fans, including me, are still amazed by Danielle Collins' dream run to the finals of the AO. Fall 7 times and get up 8 goes the Japanese proverb, and Danielle embodied it. Danielle is now working hard to try and win the next Grand Slam event in France. I think Danielle's story really teaches us something. She has shown us that even if a person is faced with several odds, they can still work towards realizing their dreams.
I can't imagine getting hurt and having the possibility of not playing the sport I love.
Thanks, Jackie. Thank you for listening to the one and only
NSWN.